Wagwan, my loves. Wagwan, everyone. It's Knowledge Butterfly. As always, sending you guys out peace, blessings, love, abundance, all of that beautiful stuff. I send that out to people. I've been sending that out since the beginning of Knowledge Butterfly channel. That's just what I do, because I always, something I won't say always spoke like that. I always thought optimistic and positive for others, but I used to have a hard time doing that for myself. And it took me doing a lot of chakra work to get to the point where I actually build up my self-worth, my confidence, my value, and just see who I am, who I truly am, and not just all the flaws that we're taught to focus on, So that's what chakra work has meant to me. So I wanted to just start that off first and foremost. That's why I wish you guys abundance. But this is a YouTube podcast chakra series for my Knowledge Butterfly channel. And I'm also going to do a little something on my podcast. So I haven't been on here a while and talked to you guys, but I have a podcast. It's called SISTAR. And SISTAR is a part of my healsol brand. Knowledge Butterfly is a part of my healsol brand. I am a multi-dimensional being who chooses to express herself all under one umbrella, which is to heal our soul and heal my own soul. And when I say healing my soul, and that actually something opened up in my side of myself when I said that. When I say heal my soul, I mean heal my soul by allowing myself to let go of all of the earthly attachments, to detach from all the things that I thought I was, the way that I saw myself based upon other people's eyes. 2 eyes, not 1 eye. So I was focused on the illusions, the ego shit that people thought about me, or thought about Tiffany, Elisa Smith. But they don't really, most of those people don't really know my soul. Shit, I didn't even know it. It's something that I'm still journeying deeper and deeper to get to know. And that's what this YouTube podcast series is about. So it's expressing myself, letting you guys know that I'm on different platforms, meaning I have the Knowledge Butterfly YouTube channel, which I do pull back from, and I go in my shell and I gain knowledge, some wisdom and some understanding of things. And then I feel like, okay, it's time to record because I've done a whole Trinity cycle. And so then I start feeling comfortable, like, okay, now it's time to put myself out there. So definitely doing this series because it's important to understand what your chakras really are, and to understand that when you are really not in your best head space, in your heart, in the best heart space, you're holding on to a lot of baggage, and that drags you down, and then that causes for you to create and manifest a world that you don't even really want to live in. But just understand that the worlds around us are worlds that we manifested. And so when we start to really, really think about, or I should even say think, when we become more aware of the thoughts that are in our heads, and then we start to see how that makes us feel as well, and that's getting to the root, because your feelings are the things that we bury down the most. The thoughts are the hardest thing to bury. Our thoughts, we're told to live in our heads, and that's how we're trained up to live in our heads, from our parents to school systems. And by doing that, it is not exercising another muscle, and that's your heart. And so what happens when we don't deal with our heart, which our heart is connected to our emotional body. And so when we're not really dealing with the heart of the matter, my nephew likes to call when we're not self-centered. And as you can see, I'm pointing at my heart. So shout out my nephew, Devon, for that. When you're not self-centered, meaning that you're not in the center. And this is a perfect time to have this conversation because we're in Libra season. And Libra season, Libra season is all about balance, right? It's all about a balance of your higher self and your ego. It's all about a balance of your masculine and your feminine, your mental and your emotional, because the masculine represents the mental body and the feminine represents the emotional body. And that's why it seems like we're speaking different languages, right? So I say all this to say is that that's definitely why I have my seasons and come back and forth, because I take the time to start downloading all this information and allowing that information to sink in to a deeper place where it becomes wisdom, and then an even deeper place when it becomes understanding, which means that I totally understand how it relates to me, myself, and I, right? How I can tie it back into me. Because if I can't tie it back to me, then I'm not really doing it. I'm not really doing the work. I'm not doing enough work on myself, because I honestly feel like real work starts with self, and then everything else in your life then starts to flow so much better, because now you've actually done the work to get yourself in a better place. So you really understand who you are. And how can you understand who you are if you haven't started with the root of it, which is your root chakra? So I challenged myself. I actually started on last Thursday, and my sister Nini, a beauty queendom, she also has been doing the challenge with me as well. And I'm calling it a challenge right now, but it's really not. It's more like a journey into self. It's self-discovery. And you do that by starting with your root chakra, because everything that we think we are and everything that we built our whole lives on has been the perspective of from a child's eyes, right? Because science has said that when people have traumatic events, those traumatic events make imprints or stamps on your mind, right? That's what they call traumatizing you. And the people who are melanated and indigenous on this planet have been traumatized, post-traumatic stress disorder, and some people call it post-traumatic slave disorder. Now, when I say that, I know that slave is actually means, it comes from the word Slav, and that's a Slavic. And so no one who's melanated could actually be a slave, but what they can do is they can take your mind and program it to make you think that you are the opposite of what you actually are, right? And so why that's important is when you're dealing with the root chakra, you have to deal with your self-worth and your value. And what I noticed when I was dealing with my root chakra was that the value that my family felt for themselves was very low. And I say this because most people buy into the system, like myself, manipulate our hair by straightening it and doing all kind of things that are not how it naturally grows out of our head. Mainly the straightening and burning your hair. That's enough right there to be burning your fucking hair because of a standard, not because you just want to maybe cut your split ends, or you might just want to do a different style. But every single day you manipulating your hair, or you sewing in hair, or you're doing whatever. And this is not to judge anybody, but when I got down really to the root for myself as to why I did all that stuff, because I did all those things I talked about, when I got down to the root, it was because I didn't really love my hair. I actually despised it. I didn't like the pattern. I didn't understand. And I also didn't understand it, meaning that I was disconnected from the hair growing out of my motherfucking head. I was just like, what am I supposed to do with it? And the thing about your roots is that's where the seed is planted. All that potential, and the seed represents the potential, which we all come into this world as untapped potential, right? So I found that the way that I thought about my hair, the way that I thought about other parts of this physical body that deals with the five senses, is that it was so superficial and it was so shallow, yet the bruising was so deep. And when I say the bruising, I'm talking about my own personal roots. So I had to get to the root as to why I didn't encourage myself, why I didn't speak life into myself more, why I was so insecure and was battling with my own self-esteem, and even putting myself out there and sharing myself. That's part of the root chakra work, which actually flows into the sacral chakra, because the sacral chakra deals with a lot of your, I won't say just insecurities, because I really see that more as a root chakra thing, because that's where you gain your security from your parents speaking life into you. And if they didn't do that and you didn't know how to do that, then that means you were fed with poisonous, water, toxic, acidic water. You weren't fed with love, right? Because water is what fertilizes the ground. And so our roots is in the ground. Who fertilized our roots? That's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with root chakra. We need to be more personal with our chakras, right? We need to stop looking at it as this just, oh, it's just a red ball of light and it just turns this way and it turns that way and all those things. And I'm not saying that being able to tell which way your chakras is spinning isn't something that's helpful, because it is beneficial. Because I do chakra work where I'll focus on a chakra and I'll rotate it, visualize myself rotating it clockwise, and then sometimes it's counterclockwise. It's just according if I want to add something or if I want to release something. Think about like a bottle. When you open a bottle, you turn it what? Counterclockwise. When you close it, you turn it clockwise. So whenever you're trying to remove something, I just really think of me spinning it counterclockwise. And then when I want to close it up, meaning, and when I say close, I don't mean that it doesn't flow properly, but meaning that that's something I want to store in there for a while. That's something that's actually helping build me up, because your chakras are storehouses. They're storehouses for your emotions. And when you're dealing with the root chakra, that storehouse has a lot of childhood trauma. So you have to be honest with yourself. And the easiest way to do that is to take some keywords that describe that chakra. So for the root chakra, it's foundation, it's security, it's stability. And if you didn't feel any of those things, it's protection too. If you didn't, and so that's 4. So if you didn't feel any of those things, if you didn't feel secure from your parents, if you didn't feel stable from your parents, excuse me, if you didn't feel, protected from your parents, and I said another one, but it'll come back to me. But yeah, if you didn't feel those things, your root chakra is going to be very, very cracked. It's going to be, that foundation is not sturdy at all. You know what I'm saying? But when you start being honest with yourself about your childhood, the things that as a child you didn't deserve, meaning empathizing with yourself. One of the exercises I did for myself was I started to think, when things would come to my mind about something that I didn't do. For instance, I could have said, I'm going to make a commitment. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to eat this. Instead of penalizing myself, chastising myself, like a parent whooping you because you did something wrong, because that's what we do every time we're judging ourselves, meaning that we're feeling bad because we did something or we didn't follow through on a promise we made to ourselves. I actually started to show empathy for myself. And how I did that is I got to the root as to why I did that thing in the first place, right? Why I may be craving sweets, because maybe I haven't really been kind to myself. Like, it's interesting that I have on this tank that says, in the part you can see is the part that says I'm kind. Even though it says I'm kind of a big deal, you see that I'm kind. And that's very fitting, because that's really what you have to start doing with yourself. Practicing kindness with your own motherfucking self. Practicing understanding with your own self. Talking to yourself the way you wanted your parents to talk to you. The way you wanted them to understand you. Having this, because remember, nobody has more dialogue with ourselves than ourselves. We're always in our heads, and we're always pushing down what's in our heart, because our heart is always speaking to us as well. And what I can say is that through the root chakra, I could feel things going on in my heart as I was releasing and letting things go. It was helping my heart. And that's actually been the same with each chakra. I've still felt other chakras benefiting from what I was doing. And the reason that is because when we block off certain chakras, meaning that they're not open, they're not activated, they're not performing properly. Think about like a drain, and it gets clogged. That's what some of our chakras are. And then you have other ones that have to take up the slack for that energy not being able to go into the chakra is trying to feed. So let's say if the root chakra is blocked, it has a clog. And so you're receiving downloads and information is coming in from your crown chakra, but because your root chakra is swollen, it can't go down to the root chakra. So it's stuck in the sacral. So the sacral is actually disproportionate because it's getting way too much energy. It's having to take up slack for the root chakra because the root chakra is not performing. And that's the same thing with all of our organs, from your kidney to your liver, because I say the kidney and liver because they're the ones that cleanse our body. They purify our blood, right? They help break down the waste, waste being the things that our body doesn't need to survive. So that comes out. So anywho, basically, as you're doing this root chakra journey and this work, you're actually tapping into some really deep rooted stuff. So think about your mind and your heart as a garden, right? And every thought you have is either helping your garden flourish and become fertile, or it is something that's, I don't like to use weeds because I feel like all plants, all life has a purpose. And because there are things that people call weeds that actually, like dandelion, they call it a weed, and it has so many healthy benefits, including as a tea you can actually drink for root chakra cleaning and cleansing, as well as burdock root, as well as patiaco, as well as calendula, and I can go on. All right, and of course some greens as well, because anything green, we're getting into the cool time, so I'm just talking about some food real quick and then I'll go back. Another thing you can do to help with your root chakra balanced food is kidney beans, those red beans. Anything that's really red will help as well, and eating a lot of raw stuff will also help. But and then also you can do as you feel too. So if one day you feel like you want to, eat something you want to eat, then you just eat that thing and do it on purpose so you can learn how to not feel guilty, to get rid of guilt, because that helps you move into the sacral chakra, right? I got into foods and stuff just because I started saying it, so forgive me, y'all. I do that sometimes, but yeah. So just getting back to doing your root chakra work and balancing out that chakra. Like I said, I don't like saying weeds, but what I will say is you clean it out. So meaning you're like seeing your thoughts, you're aware of the thoughts coming into your head, but you're not being so attached to those thoughts. Because the reason why the thoughts keep staying in there and keep replaying themselves is because we've attached ourselves to it. We think the thoughts are us. We think that that's our life. We think that that's the way everything's supposed to go. We have all these thoughts, and those thoughts create certain feelings. And if those feelings are feelings that are not the best, meaning that these are feelings that are actually causing for the same scenario, this movie to keep playing over and over and over and over again in our head, then we are creating a pattern, and that habitual pattern is now creating our reality. That is not what we want. But when we go in our mind and our hearts and our gardens and we actually tend to them, we start saying kind words to ourselves, we start being more loving on ourselves, it actually starts to play out with the people around us, because we start to see everybody as our reflection. And if you don't like your reflection, then you need to start making some changes in your mind and in your heart. If you love the reflection you see, if you feel it's beautiful like I do, then you start feeding more into that energy, and that starts to expand your reality. You start to get rid of the limitations that you placed on yourself. And all of that starts with the root chakra, because your parents are supposed to tell you that you can be and do anything that you want in life. They're supposed to be able to read your energy and guide you in the right way and right direction that's based upon the energy that you're showing. But at the same time, allowing you to learn your independence, but being able to be your true support and the stability to show you that you truly can build and have anything you want in this life. And if you didn't have that growing up, you have to do that for yourself. You have to see yourself as all of that, full of all that potential, all this light, all this love to share it with the world. And when I say love, I'm just talking about speaking your truth and speaking from your heart and being your own self, being your own true self. Most people don't even know what that looks like, what their own true self looks like. I was like that. And it took going to the root in order to get there. So saying all that, I'm actually going to share my screen now, because I want to share this PowerPoint that I put some work into, you all. I put quite a bit of work into it, and I'm still working on it, but I definitely wanted to go ahead and do the video for the root chakra, because I really feel this is the perfect time to do some root chakra work, do some balancing, and not just root chakra, to do all your chakras. Before I actually got into the root chakra, me and my sis, I found this video on YouTube, which, side note on that, I'm going to have a folder with all of the YouTube videos I found that really work for me, for all my chakras, and I'm going to put them in order from root to the crown, so you can easily listen to it. And of course you should listen to it in that order, because you have to build on a sturdy foundation first. That's why I spent my time talking about disease roots and dealing with your roots first. So I will put that in a folder. It'll be public. I'm actually have been adding things to it, so it's in a private status, but I've already created the folder. And I also have a folder for these YouTube podcast videos dealing with your chakras and these best practices y'all can get into, right? So anywho's, I have up a slide I did for the root chakra, and you can see where towards the left, the green box, there is a tree, right? And the tree is very fitting when we're talking about ourselves, because we are trees, we are seeds. Our soul is a seed of potential. And it came down here to do certain things. And until you actually start to walk in what you came here to do, you will always feel like there's something that you're missing in your life, because what you want to do is a part of you. It's not separate from you, right? It's in you. And we haven't been taught to water that. So I put the tree there as a subconscious symbol for your subconscious mind and my own subconscious mind, to remind myself that I am a tree and I need to water myself properly. All right. So in the green, it says we are the seeds of our parents. We are like a tree. Our roots give instruction on how the tree should grow. The way in which we are watered in childhood dictates the fruit in which we bear. Do we bear good or bad fruit? This is rooted in our thought pattern. So I talked about that, and your thought pattern being, that's literally like one of the main issues with people is starting out in consciousness is our very own thoughts. So we know that that's something that we should be more aware of, more mindful of. And when you really get to the point where you're even more aware, or not, I should say even more, but just as aware of your feelings, your feeling patterns, because your feeling patterns are actually connected to your thought patterns. So when you can start to feel more, then you start trusting yourself more. And I can say for me, like this whole exercise, every time I meditate now, it's on a whole nother level where I'm actually feeling my whole body just moving and vibrating, and I'm feeling each chakra moving and vibrating. That's the level that is really, that I've actually elevated to. So thought patterns first, and your emotions. So think of your thoughts as seeds, and then think of your emotions as the water that is watering it and fertilizing it, right? So be mindful of that. Be thoughtful of that, and be in tuned enough with yourself to feel what's going on with you. So another thing that I have on the left side underneath the tree is, you'll notice I have this shape. It looks like, it could look like a bat, it could look like a butterfly, and it could also look like an elephant's head. And I'm using a ladder in this instance because I want to bring a point home. So what you're seeing at the bottom is called the perineum, and it's a bone that's in our body, and it's called the seat. So when you sit down, like how I'm sitting down, I'm able to sit down because of my perineum bone. So I've actually sent a whole bunch of love and support and just, life to my perineum bone. And I send a lot of gratitude for it's doing its job and doing it well. So the perineum shape is similar to the head of the elephant. These are just words that I typed on here for the presentation. This area of the human body contains the male, female genitalia, and anus. The sacred geometry of the vaginal area, making a diamond shape. Now, I actually had a picture there, and as you can see, I'm just going to have to update this slide, but that actually is on the next one, where you'll see the diamond shape when I get into sacred geometry, when I talk about the sacral chakra. But if you look at the perineum bone, you notice that it has it looks like ears here, and it looks like I can even mark on here. Let me find out. Ballpoint pen or water paint. Let's do a ballpoint pen. Here. Oh, I can. That's really dope. I get excited about the little things, y'all. So this part right here can be reminiscent of an elephant ear. It also can be reminiscent of a butterfly. But like I said, I used it in this notion for the shape of the elephant, okay? And it's the seed, right? And in that seat, that's where the woman's vagina is. That's where the man's scrotum area is. And so if you think about the man, he's the what is it called? of the woman's uterus. So the man has a prostate, which is basically the male's version of the woman's uterus and womb area. And the man's phallus is actually the outside version of the inner verse, or the inside of a woman, and how our vaginal walls go, and the inside, the fallopian tube and everything. So literally it's the inside, outside. The women represent the inside and the men represent the outside, or the outer self and the inner self, okay? And so this bone is where all of that is at the bottom part right here. So that's dealing with life and our parents coming together to create our life, which create our physical body and our physical shell for us to dwell in. And this physical shell is coated with all type of information that came from our parents and their parents before them. Some scientists say it's 7 generations, 7 on your mothers and 7 on your fathers. And I feel like that is when you are still stuck in the 2-strand DNA, you can only access those 2 strands. However, when you start to elevate your mind, means you start to expand your mind, because elevation to me is really expanding it, making it, giving yourself more areas of life, giving yourself more blessings, giving yourself more choices, right? More wealth. When you do that and you expand your mind, then you actually expand to deal with what they call the junk DNA. You start to tap into these old, dormant information. So think of your DNA as files. They're files within your body or within your spiritual body, what you call the Akasha, a library that has all information from all your ancestors, mainly on your mother's side. And so you can tap into that information and activate things that have been dormant, and you can level up in your physical DNA as well. So I just wanted to throw that in there as well. So when you think of your perineum bone and you think of your parents coming together, think of that, all right? So the root chakra is the portal from where every human comes from. It is our connection to our parents, not only our parents, but our DNA and blood. Is where our foundation is built on, the building blocks of DNA. It is where we gain security, stability, and safety. It is our inheritance from value, our inheritance from money, our inheritance from addiction, gifts, talents, and curses. It's inheritance, all right? So that's when you're tapping into that, and you actually have 4 protein cells that make up your DNA, your physical DNA, and that is also connected with, when you think of the root chakra and the base of your spine, and it's also where your Kundalini energy sits, all right? So even though I didn't put that in the slide, your Kundalini energy is also sitting at the base of your root chakra, and the part of the work is moving it up like a snake in the base of your spine, like a snake, moving it all the way up to your heart space so you can open up that and light that fire from the solar plexus. And then also going into your 3rd eye chakra, where you fully can start to see things in the spiritual realm. All right. So saying all that to say is that if we inherited, or if we're only in tune with the quote unquote curses and addictions of our inheritance, then we're repeating the cycles. When we are living in a lack mentality and thinking that there's a scarcity, that's because we have quite a lot of limitations still in our minds and in our DNA. And it's if you're watching this video, it's because you are working on expanding that, or you've been doing the work expanding that, all right? Now, the next thing I talk about, again, is the primordial cells. So the primordial cells are a person's original 8 cells of life, the first 8 cells that are formed after fusion of the egg and sperm and subsequent cellular replication. The 8 original cells that are positioned in between your base and sacral chakras are maintained throughout your lifetime via the holographic field of your crystalline matrix, or your auric field. And if you don't know what that means, it just means that we are born with the 1 cell when the egg and the sperm fuse together, and then it starts to replicate itself. And if you haven't seen pictures of the seed of life, the fruit of life, the tree of life, the flower of life, then you need to look at that, because that's literally what the cells do. It's like they go from the seed of life, the flower of life, I skipped something. But basically it ends at the tree of life, which is what we all are. And that's why those symbols are very powerful, because it's replicating. It's a symbol for our DNA, so it helps us activate other things. So that's another thing you can actually do with this chakra work. You can visualize, like get into a meditation where you're looking at the flower of life, the tree of life, the fruit of life, the seed of life, all right? Now, associated with the Hindu god Ganesha, the elephant is a symbol of chance and fate. It is said that elephants never forget and can help you recall past lives and discover your family history. Elephants are associated with wisdom, fortune, and wealth. And a lot of people know that elephants are seen as good luck. And in Hinduism, they like to have a lot of decor with elephants because it symbolizes wealth, and they want to keep wealth and prosperity coming into their household. I remember that was the only animal I had on my altar when I had an altar a few months ago was 2 elephants on there. And I had Lakshmi in the center because she also deals with prosperity. And I have a picture of Ganesha in the center. I have the root chakra emblem at the top. And then I'll talk about Lord Ganesh. So Lord Ganesha rules the Muladhara, the Muladhara, which is your root chakra. It's associated with family, stability, and wealth. So again, if your family was cultivating a lack mentality, which a lot of the indigenous people had to deal with, what you're doing is you're creating a wealth mentality by seeing the abundance that is you. You have an abundance of, if you have an abundance of ideas, make sure you big up your abundance of ideas. That's something you can do for yourself. You can talk about how you love when you come up with beautiful ideas, and not only come up with these thoughts, but you execute them if you deal with procrastination like this one here. Okay. So anywho's, Mula means main, root, or original. And we also know that Mula is slang for money. So that's telling you that's where your inheritance is. That's where your money is. And most of us have been operating like we're debtors and not creditors. So it's mentally changing that game. The Adara means base, meaning that Lord Ganesha is the root cause of our familial happiness and domestic peace that are absent without his blessings. So basically that symbol, and Ganesha being the base, it goes back to the perineum shape being the base of our seat. It's the base of where we can sit down and actually get comfortable. If you didn't have a seat to sit down, like a physical chair, you still have a seat because your body has a built-in seat, right? That's your base. And that's why Ganesha is connected with the root chakra, because it's dealing with your perineum shape and your family inheritance. So when you understand that your family is wealthy and not lackful, not poverty-stricken, then you can do some changes with your family's DNA, and you also do changes with yourself, because you're feeding into yourself a more balanced and a more stable and a more prosperous existence versus what you've been feeding yourself, which is lacking. That it's hard out here for a pimp, okay? And it's hard in these streets. So now, we're going to get into sound healing, and we're going to get into some mudras that I researched and I found work really well. And when I say research, I mean that it's something that I did myself. It's something that my sis did. Actually, the first day before we got into the root chakra fully. So we actually kind of did do 2 root chakra days, because we did the 7-day thing first, starting with the root chakra, and then we got into the root chakra. So we were doing hand positions, because if you don't know, this position here, which is one that's very popular, is actually dealing with opening and activating and cleansing, balancing and centering and calming and stabilizing your root chakra. And so I kind of jumped into that part, but I did have a little spiel that I created about hand mudras. Why do I have handra? I don't feel like I was high when I did it, but who knows? So the human body is an instrument, right? A mudra is like holding down certain strings on a guitar or violin in order to create a different sound. A mudra is also like the keys on a piano. That for your body is tuning your body, right? And when I say the human body is an instrument, I'm talking about your chakras, your chakras, or however you want to pronounce it. I'm talking about your storehouses, 7 main storehouses in your body that are conditioned by your feelings. All right. So each chakra stores certain feelings, and fear is a big one that is stored in your root chakra. And right now we're in a time where people are doing all this fear campaign to keep people caught up and boxed in so that they don't understand who they truly are, and they stay in the boxes that they created through these cell phones, the boxes on these computer screens, the boxes on this camera, the boxes on our TVs, the boxes in the coffin, and I could keep going on from box after box. And so if you even look at the root chakra, the symbol, you'll notice that it does have a square, and then it has the downward triangle, and a downward triangle is dealing with your sexual organs, okay? Because the phallus sticks out, and then the woman shape is the downside triangle that represents the feminine energy, but you can see the masculine energy is in it too, in the point. So anywho, doing these mudras is helping to stimulate that area of your body, not just your chakras, the organs that are tied to the chakras, because understand that these organs are not just separate from one another. They're called organs for a reason. Musical instruments is what our whole body system is. And when they get you to live in fear, they get you to basically play a tune which is disharmonic from your body, meaning that it is causing dysfunction. It's causing illness. Illness comes from your body not playing a harmonious tune, you not being in harmony, and you not tuning your body completely, right, with your spirit. All right, so I already told you the one mudra. This is to open and activate. All right, and then they have another mudra which you can see underneath it, and then with that mudra, you're lifting your pinky finger and your ring finger, the sun finger, and then you have your other fingers together. All right, and as you can see, it's interesting because I feel like my left hand, I do it easier than the right. So I feel like I was actually left-handed when I was younger, but I was kind of coasting to being in the right one because I always feel more comfortable doing these types of things with the left. Or it could also be tied into the fact that the left side of your body, it takes its direction from the right side of your brain in a right hemisphere, which is the divine feminine energy. So that's why it's good to do both, because you're actually balancing out both sides of your body. So whenever you're doing a mudra, make sure that you're doing it on both hands. That's why they have you doing it on both hands, because it's to balance and align both hemispheres of your brain so you can connect them and they can communicate more harmoniously. All right, so make sure that you do that. Oh, and actually I was doing the wrong one. It's supposed to be your index. And see, I'm glad I checked. It's supposed to be your index finger and your Saturn finger that you do this with. But obviously this is something too, because everything is for a reason, I found. And so you can try both of those. Don't be afraid. Don't get caught up in what people say. Try different things and see how it feels for you as well. Because 9 times out of 10 is actually going to be more beneficial for you, because it's something that your body just instinctively did. My body instinctively wanted to put up the pinky and the ring fingers, even though in this diagram they have up the index and Saturn. So everything for a reason. Now, I'm going to move to the right, and then I'll go to the center. On the right side, I talk about sound healing. And so the drums are actually what's tied to your root chakra. So if you're listening to tribal drums, if you're listening to any type of drums, it's going to impact your root chakra. It's going to help balance it and stimulate it and attune it. And so what I have in the little verb that I have in the green box is using tribal drums and chants is an ancient way of calibrating and attuning a tribe to the same root chakra frequency. So if a tribe, when tribes would get in a circle and they're playing on the drums, like beating their hands on the drums, and people are dancing at the same time, you know, and when you dance, I actually found myself doing this when I was dancing, going back to the first one. And so people are dancing and doing it, doing what people just think is just something to do because they like the music. Is actually a spiritual thing, and it's actually tuning in and tapping into the frequency of your root chakra. That's how you attune into these chakras. You can use music, you can use instruments, you can use these positions, because you're speaking directly to that particular part of your body, those organs as well. You can get into these positions and poses and just start speaking to different parts of your body, from your root chakra to your sexual organs that are in that area, to even your kidneys. You can start speaking to your kidneys right then, because fear is what keeps you from moving forward. So I would say start speaking to your kidneys at the root chakra level and talk about how your kidneys are balanced, are in alignment, your adrenal glands are perfectly in balance, and giving them thanks for being so. Do that type of work. And you can do that while you can have some tribal drums playing in the background. So you have the music on top of the words you're speaking, so you're actually giving it doubly the or more potent energy. Then underneath it, it says, let thy music be thy medicine. And I just wanted to put that there because I wanted to let you know that your music can be your medicine. And as my sis, Nene likes to say, she says, music is magic, and it really is. Our bodies are musical instruments, so how can it not be magical? It's magical when our bodies are in harmony, meaning our chakras are harmonizing and working the way they're supposed to be working, and our organs. And so you'll also notice that I gave you different frequencies that you can actually listen to attune and to align your chakras. And it's 128 hertz. It's grounding. It gives you vitality and abundance. And remember, it's all about your inheritance being abundance and no longer seeing lack. So it's everything you're doing is to attune yourself to the frequency of abundance, which is your birthright. And that's why I started out with the red, that's dealing with the blood. 256 hertz, it deals with security, stability, and calm. So that brings you to a state again of creating fertile ground in your root chakra. 396 hertz helps you release fear and guilt. And I talked about fear being something you definitely have to let go of. Fear is one of those things that goes by many names. Lack is one of those names. Poverty is one of those names. Okay. Low self-esteem is one of those names. Like, fear comes out as guilt. It comes out as a whole lot of things. Okay. The guilt and letting that go is very powerful because as children, we take on responsibilities that we were children. So how can you take that on as something for you to be guilty about? You have to be able to absolve yourself of anything that happened in your childhood and know that it wasn't your fault. And even if it was something that you felt like you could have did better, you have to forgive yourself for only doing what you knew at the time. And just vowing to just be better in everything else you do going forward. That's how you don't get caught stuck in the past. You recognize it and acknowledge it for what it did and the trauma it may have made you feel. But at the end of the day, you allow yourself to be released from it because you were a child when it happened. And better yet, your soul is exempt because your soul is not the one that's doing all of this. Your ego was the one that was running the show and making all the decisions. So now you're getting in more balance so you can release that because that wasn't you in your right mind. You were literally insane. You were literally mentally going through things. Okay? You were having an identity crisis. So let that go. Now the 512 hertz, it is aligning your root and your heart chakra. And I wanted to put that there. And as you can see, I did the colors like red, yellow, and green, like a stoplight when I deal with this, because I feel like these colors are very important. When we're talking about root chakra, and I actually did it more as a goal because I'm dealing with royalty. This is royalty. This is understanding that you are royalty. This is understanding that your blood is royalty. This is understanding that you walk in abundance and you are the motherfucking abundance. You're the money. You're the currency. You're the moolah. Okay? So yeah, that 512 hertz is aligning your root and heart chakra. And that's very important to do because if you notice that Bobby Hemming has talked about this in the past, he was the first that I actually heard talk about this, where he said that the reason why melanated people are in such a perpetual state of diabetes, which is affecting your pancreas and your kidneys, and heart disease, while those are one of the main killers in the melanated communities, is because we live in a state of fear. We live in a state of changing tradition and things that we were taught because we feel like it's going to go against our family and what we already always learned. You know what I'm saying? We feel wrong and guilty for going to get something that we know doesn't feel right. All right. So when we're honest with ourselves and we let those things go, we can then align our root chakra with our heart chakra, and we can open ourselves up to a higher frequency and a higher level of ourselves. Because that's really what ascension is. Ascension is really just getting to a point where your vibration is higher, meaning that you are aligning with all of that shit you say you want, all that abundance you say you want. You're aligning with that frequency. You only can stay in those lower frequencies if your mindset is as such, and you're attracting lower frequency energy around you. All right, so now we're going to talk about the Biha mantra. The Biha mantra, and Biha means seed, and I'm going to get into that. So lamb or lam, and let me not say lamb because it's not pronounced lamb. It's pronounced lum. And lum, the reason why it's pronounced that way is because the A is pronounced like like the sound of the universe. You'll notice that all of the Biha mantras have the in it because that's the sound of the universe. That's the sound that the universe made when you were created. And when I say universe, I'm talking about your mother and father coming together and the Big Bang or the orgasm that created you. And so, or the experience that created you. The is an orgasm. And so lum is a one-syllable sound known as a biha or a seed. So it's planting seeds in your root chakra. It is the Biha mantra associated with the Muladhara. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Muladhara, or root chakra. And its vibration helps to activate this energy center. And mine is vibrating right now just from me saying that. It is associated with the element earth. Located along the spinal column, each of the 7 main chakras is associated with its own individual vibration and Biha mantra. Lum is also used to cleanse the Muladhara chakra in order to establish or maintain a sense of being grounded and connected to the earth. All right? A lot of melanated peoples is thrown off, and that's why they don't take care of the earth. That's literally why they just throw trash anywhere. That's literally why they don't respect the trees or anything or see their connection to it, and that's because their roots are the issue. That's the first sign. When you start to connect with your root chakra, you can start to feel and connect with every other living being on this planet, mainly the planet Earth, because our body is made out of earth materials. Matter, and we call it matter. Okay, the mother and Terra, earth, our mother and Terra, earth, come together to create this. Now, the vibration created when chanting lum is said to cleanse any impurities that collect at the base of the spine, allowing vital life force energy known as prana to flow freely. So when you're trying to meditate and do your breaths, sometimes you may feel uncomfortability. I know I used to in certain chakras, and that's because those chakras were not balanced. Those chakras were not activated properly. And therefore, as I was doing my breathing and stuff, especially like in my cerebellum chakra, I remember feeling a sharp pain when I would start like raising my kundalini energy up. So if you feel pains in your body, that means you're jumping too many steps ahead, and you need to do some chakra work in order to get your breathing, your prana to flow more freely. Now, since the Muladhara chakra is the gateway to the remaining 6 chakras, chanting lum can be a powerful means of shifting energy throughout the entire body. So basically, this chakra, the reason why you have to start here is because if this chakra is not balanced, your energy flow, your prana will not be able to flow properly throughout your entire body. And what that can actually cause is that can cause injury or illness to your body because you're trying to move ahead and you haven't even dealt with the foundation, the thing that everything else stands on. The other chakras are building off of that chakra. So I wanted to make sure I shared that with you guys. Another thing I wanted to share with you when it comes to doing root chakra work is that you want to make sure that you allow yourself the freedom to just be honest with your own self. A good thing to do with root chakra work is looking in the mirror or looking in your phone and recording yourself and talking about your feelings. That way you're giving yourself a reflection that matches the reflection that the energy that you want to be at, because the energy you want is honesty, and you want life, and you want security and stability. You should be looking at yourself when you're projecting that by being honest with yourself, whether it's crying through it and getting through it and just speaking that. When I got to a higher chakra, I actually started utilizing, and this was my heart chakra. When I got to my heart chakra, I started utilizing the sky outdoors as my mirror and looking at the stars and seeing my own self in those stars. And that was so magical and so dope. And I was able to speak life in using the sky at nighttime as a black mirror. So utilizing a black mirror is another important tool. I damn near scared myself earlier because I literally was just staring in the dark, in the bathroom, in the mirror, and it actually started to turn into something else, like the vision turned into something else. And then I did the same thing in the light, stared at the mirror, and the vision started to turn into another thing. So I started to see myself with like less, I didn't see no gray hair, like my hair was black, like I was seeing a different version of myself. And so it went to show me that what I'm seeing right now is a projection of something that I actually agreed to embody into at a root chakra level. And that means that you can change anything. All this outside stuff is literally based upon your thoughts and your emotions. So your root chakra helps you tap into those and you start to see yourself in a different light. Okay. And another thing I wanted to add is you'll notice to the left, I have these crystals. I'm going to do the ballpoint pen so I can circle it. That's kind of ugly, but it's all good. I won't call it ugly. It is what it is. It is what it is. But you see these crystals in the corner, and hematite is one of them. Hematite is the one that is the silver looking one. Hematite actually helps you clean out your blood and cleanse your blood. And I remember talking about this crystal before. I don't do a lot of crystal videos. I normally just incorporate them in other videos. I'll just talk about a crystal that I might be working with. And hematite is one that I've done a lot of work with. It does help purify and cleanse out your blood. And your blood is transported. It's a transport. It transports oxygen and all other kind of minerals in your body throughout your entire body. And it knows which organs get what. So it helps filter it. It sends the liver some type of blood so it can filter out what it needs to filter out. It sends the kidney blood so it can filter out what it needs to filter out, and so on and so forth. Hematite helps you do that job. So you can actually program your hematite to say what you want it to do. You want to use this hematite. The purpose of this hematite is to balance out my kidneys and my adrenal glands, to balance out my liver and the cleansing system it is, to balance out the blood that flows in my digestive system, or to balance out the blood that flows throughout my body. And so that everything in my body is operating on a scale of perfection, on a scale of love and harmony, however you want to word it. That's becoming, allowing your throat chakra, which is, I'm actually on throat chakra day. This is day 2 and probably the last day of that because I've been giving each chakra 2 days, which is 14 days actually, when you look at that. And that's doubling that energy, the energy of 7. So that's coming out of that cycle of doing the root chakra over and over and again, or I should say the cycle of repeating things. This is to break anew and create something new. But anywho, so yeah, you use your crystals, programming it with your mouth or through your thoughts. I like to speak over things now because that's sending out a certain vibration and a certain tone. That's why mantras and affirmations become so powerful, because once you start to get your thoughts and your emotions to be in alignment and in sync with one another, with the thing that you actually desire, you start to be the magic and create what the fuck you want in this life. And so the red jasper is the other one crystal I have here, and red jasper is a great stone to use for your root chakra to start getting some balance. I don't have it on here, but I think it's called Turritella agate. That's amazing for that because it helps you ground yourself. It's a brown crystal, but it works with your root chakra and your earth star chakra. And that one actually helps connect both of those chakras together as well. So you can be simultaneously working on your earth star chakra and your root chakra. And again, that's Turritella agate. It looks like fossils. And you can also use the star aragonite and maybe it's called star cluster aragonite. It's a brown crystal and it looks like a little brown crystal. That's exactly what it looks like. But that'll also help connecting your earth star chakra and your root star chakra, because doing both of those together is to me, they can go hand in hand. And I found myself dealing with my earth star chakra yesterday, even though I was in throat chakra day, because I went to the park and I grounded myself, rooted myself in the earth. So anywho, those are some crystals you can utilize, or you cannot use crystals, whatever you feel, just go with what you feel. Another thing that I have been doing is I have been utilizing the tuning fork videos. And so I have tuning fork videos for each chakra. That's going to be on the podcast, the YouTube podcast chakras that I'm going to open up to the public and share after I upload this video. And yeah, so just think of your root chakra, guys. Think of family. Think of your Kundalini energy. Think of your family jewels, your inheritance. You know, men call their testicles their family jewels for a reason. Their seeds, your jewels, your children, your sperm, that's your jewels. Your eggs, that's part of your jewels. Your kidneys has your jewels as well. That's where your chi energy sits, in your kidneys. Your life force energy sits in your kidneys. So when your kidneys are in a state of fear, you're literally depleting it of the necessary energy you need in order to create the life that you so want, right? And to really invest in yourself and invest in others that are giving you that type of energy as well. So I'm going to end the root chakra video on that note, y'all. Yay, I did it. I did it. So the next video will be about the sacral chakra. That'll be the second part of the series. So I actually want to get into, when I get into the sacral chakra, I'm going to get into a little bit about meditation and what it means, like, meaning how I do it. Like, I've gotten to a whole nother level in meditation, so I definitely want to share that from my new perspective. So I'll get into that with the sacral chakra, and I really feel like that's the perfect place because that's where your life force energy sits. That's where your lower dantian, and that's your powerhouse. So I want to talk about the meditation when I get into the powerhouse, because meditating into that chakra will definitely cause for you to go to another level. All right. So again, I thank you guys for tuning in to my Frequency Knowledge Butterfly. Check out my podcast, y'all. Make sure you check out SISTAR. It is streaming on all your major platforms, including Spotify and Apple Music. And I just talk about everything. My last podcast was the Generational Curse series. So when we're dealing with root chakra issues, it's a good time that you can actually tune into that frequency, SISTAR. You can also check me out. I have healsol.life or healsol.life. That is my website where you can actually book Reiki sessions with me. Let me say this. I'm actually modifying that site because I offer cosmic soul readings, and I want to change that as well because I'm going to make it a smaller thing. Otherwise, I'll be doing 50 pages per person, and I kind of want to start out with giving you a snapshot of your energy, because a cosmic soul reading is telling you what type of energy you incarnated into. And so I give you a lot of details dealing with your natal chart, which I call your soul star map. It's a blueprint of your energy, like what your energy is made up of, so your challenges and your strength. And then the Reiki session is dealing with more of a spiritual thing. It's dealing with tapping into your spirit body, your spiritual gifts, the reason why you came here, and also you'll tap into some trauma. So definitely you need to be ready and prepared. So I say that to say that before I do any sessions, I have a Zoom session with you or a WhatsApp session so that I can see where you are and we can determine exactly what we need to do. Because I definitely like to do the 7 chakras to clear out all the chakras so they can operate properly. But I like to also set an intention with everyone. So I set my own intentions based upon the conversation I have with you and the understanding of what you're looking to work on. So we can come into agreement, because it's a partnership. It's not like, I'm not going to act like I'm, the savior. I'm literally here to be an aid and to be of service to help you initiate a spiritual healing within yourself. And that's why I call my first Reiki sessions initiation sessions, because it's initiating you into an aspect of your own self. It's like me being your shaman, and I'm helping guide you into a different aspect, whatever you've set an intention for. And sometimes the things you've set an intention for, it actually winds up going even deeper. And I'm going to tell you, not sometimes, every time, I do one that goes even deeper. And it helps you reconcile even relationships outside of yourself, because you're reconciling the relationship you have with your own self. So it's really powerful. You can go to healsol.life and you can book your Reiki session. And like I said, we have, I like to say a 15 to 30 minute session beforehand to talk, but it's however the energy flows, because I really like to get to know you and spend time with your energy just to see where we fit, and why you magnetize me. So You can check that out and book your sessions, and you can also see the services that I offer. Also on healsol.life, you can become a member. I write out a blog from time to time, just putting some feelings out there. I'm working on being more consistent, and that's what this root chakra work is dealing with, my stability. And that stability helps you be more consistent because you feel more stable within yourself, right? So you can definitely become a member so you can be notified when I do write a new blog. And I also have links so you can tap into Knowledge Butterfly, my YouTube channel. You can also tap into SISTAR, my podcast. You can also tap into the Community Shop, which is my t-shirt shop. And I'm actually doing some work to revamp that as well. And I'm looking at more options because I'm expanding my mind, and I've expanded different options and different ways of doing things. That's what it does for you, and helping you build your brand, because your root chakra starts with your brand. Who are you? Your root chakra really is the question, who are you? Where do you come from? And so you can check out those different things. And I have other things as well on there. I do have some upcoming things that I have conceptualized, and now that I'm crystallizing as well in my life. So more to come on that through my journey, because I'm still in California. That actually is wrapping up. But California has definitely helped me clear up a lot of root chakra things. It was like going backwards, going back into the past. And it actually brought me to be able to have this series for you guys that I'm really excited to share with you. So sending you guys some love out as you do this root chakra work, going inwards with yourself. We're in a Mars retrograde, so root chakra work is very, very vital during this time. You can actually do this even though I'm going to do the series and talk about how I did it for basically 14 days, because it's 2 days apiece for each chakra, which is the balance, it's the pair. Is the masculine and feminine, and I'm just now getting that makes sense as to why I've been doing it this way, me and my sis. So we're actually doing the balance of ourselves. We're calibrating ourselves, and me and her doing it together is another pair. So anywho's, you can do this multiple times. So the videos will be up, the podcast will be up, talking about some things as well, adding some things to the flavor so you can get some bonus things on my podcast. And you can listen to it over and over again. You can do your root chakra work to crown chakra work over and over again multiple times. After you get through one round, you can go to another level each time, because we are really just working on ourselves. It's not something where overnight you're going to be exactly who you want to be, but every single time you do it, you get better and better and better. And me and my sis even said that us doing this together, we've noticed how much more powerful we become in our own selves, in our own right. Like, this experience has been like none other that we've done before. So another thing you can start doing during this time, I'm just sharing things as they come to me, is I like to journal. So I actually have my notebook right here. Right now it's green, dealing with the heart chakra energy. And I write in here all the time. I put notes in here. I do my studying. I put things in here, YouTube ideas in here. And then I have a purple one that deals, and I have written on the front of it, dreams to reality. And that one, I have a lot of my recipes on there for my products for healsol.life, because my whole brand is healsol.life. It's living a life based upon realizing your full potential, because your soul is a seed. And the more you water your soul, you start to realize your full potential. And so that's what this whole experience has taught me about myself, and how I'm realizing my full potential. And I'm really seeing who I truly can be if I apply myself. Meaning, apply myself means doing the work for myself, really working on myself, really speaking life into myself, really putting energy into the things I love. And the things I love is, of course, my YouTube channel, my podcast, and I also love making products. I love cooking, all those things. So this whole California trip, I've been doing things I love, and I've been honing my cooking skills and getting better and better and better at it, because I really love feeding people love, and my food is love. So those are some things I've been doing. And when you get into your root chakra, you'll find that you'll want to do so many things that ground you and make you feel good. Food can be a comforting thing. And so as we get into this winter season, you can challenge yourself to make sure that you incorporate more healthier foods than non-healthy foods. Start there instead of trying to put yourself into a position where you only have to eat certain things. That helps you balance yourself because you don't go from one extreme to the next. You start teetering the scales. So in this Libra season, y'all, let's think about doing more of that, more balancing of ourselves. And that's what these chakras do. And that's what Heal Soul Life is about. So like I said, you can book an appointment with me through Heal Soul Life, healsol.life. You can check me out on my Instagram page. I have a Knowledge Butterfly page, and I also have the Holistic Energy Alchemist page, which I deleted most of the things. So now you can go on there and only see, I think there's a couple of posts on Heal Soul, and then I might have 6 or so posts on Knowledge Butterfly, but it's me rebuilding myself back up in my new image. It's the butterfly now. It was a caterpillar, but now a butterfly. I go through these stages where I really take that time, and I took a long one this time as well. So thank you guys for being understanding. Thank you for doing this work with me. Thank you for your love and support. I am definitely grateful for my sis Nene, her love and support, and she's a beautiful reflection, y'all. So check her out if you haven't, with the Beauty Queendom. And she's talking about her life and her journey as well. Sending love to my sis Val as well. Big her up. She just bought a car, leveled up, got a new job, leveled up. So yeah, I'm seeing my reflections doing some amazing things, and I couldn't be anywhere happier for them, excited for them, because I'm learning through this journey that when someone in your circle shines, you shine, right? That they're a reflection of you. So just keep doing what you're doing and keep loving on yourself and keep trusting that you know what you're supposed to be doing in this life. Trust your own process and trust your own journey and trust your own heart. So sending you guys so much love. Peace. Let me go on and end this. I'm gonna have to discard all of this. This is so in the way, y'all. There we go. Thank y'all. Appreciate you.